Do you know what happens when you miss the red flags or warning signs in the beginning of your relationship? Well, not only will you end up wasting your time, you also put yourself at risk for getting hurt by a person who's not who you thought they were. Don't let that happen to you. Stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to tell you the 5 most common red flags that you should never ignore. Don't go anywhere because we're starting right now. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borrello and I'm a psychologist and relationship coach. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy with the people you love. So if you're interested in making your love life the best part of your life, start now by clicking the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you aren't missing anything. Okay, on to the 5 most common red flags that people miss. What is a red flag? Well, it's a warning sign, a sign that there's a problem that you should notice or deal with. In the literal sense, red flags are obvious signs that are meant to be seen to warn you of danger ahead. But when it comes to dating and relationships, warning signs or red flags are not always so obvious or easy to spot. That's why people refer to them in the past tense, as in, didn't you see any red flags? Didn't you see the warning signs? And people miss them for a lot of reasons. The first of which is because they're not so obvious. I mean, you're never going to see a man waving a red flag in front of you saying, don't date me, I'm a weirdo, or I'm a narcissist. Instead, signs of problems ahead are always much more subtle and harder to recognize, especially when you really like someone. But don't get me wrong, they are almost always present in the beginning of new relationships. You just need to know what to look for and be willing to pay attention and not be so willing to excuse or justify bad behavior or incompatibility because you really like a person. So, without further ado, here are the top flags that you cannot ignore, along with the problems you'll face if you choose to ignore them. Number 1, they speak poorly about prior lovers. As you know, people are on their best behavior in the beginning of new relationships. Some call it the honeymoon period or the calm before the storm. People who will later become abusers hold themselves back until they gain their partner's trust and love. And because they are on their best behavior, seeing their true colors is much more difficult. However, they are often more than willing to discuss their past relationships, which can give you valuable insight and possible warning signs. So, pay attention when he's talking about his history and how he describes past lovers or partners. Does he call them unstable, or does he call them crazy or abusive? Does he talk about how the relationship ended, or does he describe how he told all of her friends and family about how she did him wrong? Kind of like a smear campaign against his ex at the end of the relationship. Or is he portraying the role of an innocent victim of an abusive ex? Those are great hints to be careful of because the way he talks about other relationships will be the same way he talks about you one day. Number 2, he's a blamer. Blame is placing the entire responsibility for one's unpleasant actions, consequences, and feelings on another person or external event, and insisting that others agree. A blamer refuses to admit that they've ever done anything wrong. They will always consider themselves a victim, and no matter what really happened, if something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. So they will not apologize for anything because they consider themselves blameless in every situation. So an early warning sign is when they're talking about work or career or education and past relationships. A blamer will always take credit when things are going good and will always blame everyone around them except themselves when things are going bad. Blaming others for their failures makes them feel better about themselves and their failures. So blamers will do everything in their power to make their failure someone else's fault. And eventually his failures will be your fault, making you feel guilty for things which you have no control over. If you know a blamer, then this probably sounds pretty familiar. That reminds me, are you a subscriber struggling with a dating or relationship problem that you have a question about? Would you like my opinion about your situation? If so, send your question to antonioborrello@icloud.com. It might take me a day or two, but I respond to every email personally, and of course, it's private. Number 3, they are mean or abusive towards others. As I mentioned earlier, your new partner is going to be on his best behavior in the beginning while he's trying to gain your trust and love. That means that he's going to be as nice and considerate as possible because he wants to win you over. However, another important warning sign that often breaks through is seen in how he treats everyone else. Is he mean or abusive to strangers or other friends and family? For example, the waiter brings the wrong wine and he gets so upset that he turns it into a scene where the manager is called. Or does he have road rage and yell obscenities at drivers who make unintentional mistakes? Does he make critical comments about every other driver on the road? If so, pay attention. Abusers have short tempers and work hard to hide it from their partner. So watch the way he treats strangers and other people he's involved with. And don't believe that you will be isolated from this behavior. If he's able to be that mean to strangers, friends, and family, one day he may be that mean or abusive towards you. Number 4, he maintains several friendships with women that you've never met. Yeah, this is a huge warning sign. Sharing your life with someone involves developing relationships with your partner's friends and family. In other words, we want our partner to be liked and approved of by the friends and family that we love. So if you're sharing your life with someone, their friends should become your friends too. His friends should want to meet you and know you. But if your man is maintaining friendships or relationships with other women and he avoids introducing you, you must question his motives and the appropriateness of the friendship. Like what or who is he hiding from you and why? Now, the next sign is extremely important, so keep watching because this is often the most difficult one to recognize, but it can also be the most dangerous. Number 5, the relationship moves very fast. This is the most difficult sign to accept because it can often feel so good. See, in the beginning, when he's working so hard to make you feel so appreciated and loved, you won't even notice that he's controlling you as you relinquish your life an inch at a time while becoming more and more entrenched in the relationship. Abusers hold themselves back until they gain your trust and love, and it works. Keep watching because this is super important. It's the easiest sign to miss. Let's say you just met this guy. He's handsome and successful and incredibly romantic and seemingly perfect. He goes out of his way to show you his attention and devotion and affection. He's charming and he treats you wonderfully. But the relationship moves very quickly. You find yourself texting and talking constantly. He wants to spend every day with you and makes proclamations of love and wanting to be exclusive. Oh, and he occasionally makes surprise visits to drop off a gift or flowers when you aren't expecting him. You will initially be flattered that he's paying so much attention to you. He will leave you small love notes and send you sweet texts. It's like something from a movie. And that's because it is like that. It's more fiction than reality. You might even get the sense that something doesn't feel right. You may feel a bit pressured, but you overlook this because you feel like it's romantic and intense love. But soon enough, he begins to require that you are always accessible. Anytime he texts or calls you, he expects you to answer right away. Then he will begin questioning your whereabouts, who you were with, and what you did, and try to play it off as being very interested in what you're doing and even worrisome. And he may also be critical and mistrusting of your friends and family members, using the excuse that he's only trying to protect your best interests. Of course, he will rationalize his behavior by claiming that he's worried about you and is concerned for your safety. Still, you feel like he's testing your limits and boundaries and you are feeling smothered. So you're noticing a red flag and you decide to have a conversation about how you're feeling. Perhaps you want to tap on the brakes and slow the relationship a bit. Now, if this conversation goes well and you feel understood and supported by your partner, that's great. You've just taken a step in the right direction. On the other hand, if you bring up the conversation and it blows up into a fight, or if he objects to slowing down, or if he acts like he's the victim, claiming that he was cheated on in the past, or that he had been abandoned, this is a huge red flag. In reality, he is just attempting to hide his jealousy and controlling tendencies. This is jealousy driven by control. If your partner is trying to make you feel guilty or shameful for wanting some alone time or time with your friends or simple innocent interactions with others, take notice because it's going to get worse. Look, observing any of these signs once doesn't mean that you should run for the hills. But if you're seeing multiple warning signs or a progressive pattern develop, you should be concerned. So be wise, get informed, and protect yourself. If something doesn't feel or sound right, do what's best for you and keep yourself safe. Of course, there are other red flags and warning signs that I haven't addressed today. So if you're wondering about your situation, please leave a comment and feel free to ask questions. There may be someone else who's dealing with the same situation that you're in. Sadly, people are often unaware of these signs until it's too late and they have completely relinquished their lives to an abusive and controlling partner. So please share this video with anyone who could benefit from seeing it. I've also made other videos on similar topics and you can watch them right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.